Welcome Nelson Mandela to the show. The man they locked up.
It's nice to be out of clink. I got fed up running the old tin cup up and down the bars, you know. We are arresting you under Section 18 of the Public Order Act. They kept me in a cell until 1 o'clock in the morning and then started questioning me at 1 o'clock in the morning.
And you being kept overnight in cells and you not knowing if you're going to be prosecuted or not. That is the punishment. Hi everybody and welcome back to Nick Talks. This episode's returning guest is, when I say special guest, I mean it. Welcome Nelson Mandela to the show. The man they locked up, tried to keep in prison, but he got out. Sorry, not Nelson Mandela. It's the Silver Fox from Silver Fox Hot Takes. Hi Foxy, how you doing?
I'm very well, and it's nice to be out of clink. I got fed up running the old tin cup up and down the bars, you know. And I never learned to play the harmonica, so I was buggered, wasn't I?
Did you ever think in your wildest dreams that somebody would compare you to Nelson Mandela?
Well, never in my Well, it could be worse. At least Nelson got out, eh? He went on to greater things.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Keir Starmer's really worried now about his prime ministership. Now you're back out. So for people who don't know what we're joking about, not we. So 10 days ago, roughly, knock on a door on a Friday.
It was last Friday evening. Where are we today? As we're recording, this is the Thursday, so it was a week ago.
Oh wow! Things have moved. So it's not even been a week yet.
Moved quickly, yeah. Obviously, when this is going out, it'll be a couple of days later. But yeah, it was just about as you're watching this, as it goes out, it'll be just over a week ago. Yeah.
So knock on a door on a Friday evening. What happened?
Well, just sitting there watching TV, and there was a knock at the door. It was 9 o'clock on a Friday evening. I thought, who the hell's that? I looked at my wife to see, have you ordered something off Amazon? You know. Anyway, I opened the door, and there's two police cars, and what seemed like half the police in Northamptonshire turned up. There was four of them, and they asked me my name. I said what my name was, and they said, we are arresting you under Section 18 of the Public Order Act. They came into the house. They snatched my laptop. They snatched my tablet that I record on. They placed me under arrest. They allowed me to get some stuff together because I had medications and whatever and coat. Thankfully, they didn't put the cuffs on me. No derbies for this fella. They allowed me that luxury. Put me in the car. Took me to Kettering, which is the big, I don't know what they call, internment camp, if you will. It's a huge, great big complex. Did all the usual pre-stuff, so got booked in or whatever, sat in a cell. They kept me in a cell until 1 o'clock in the morning and then started questioning me at 1 o'clock in the morning, presumably thinking I'm going to be tired and
scared.
Yeah, tired, scared, and unable to sort of reason properly because of the hour. And of course, yes, there is that intimidation element of it. I had a brief. She came, a lovely woman. And we went through the charges with her beforehand, alone in a room alone. Then we went into the interview, the interrogation, you know. I was in there for 90 minutes, an hour and a half. And then they took me out of there, had another brief meeting with the solicitor. Then they put me back in the cells, woke me up at 5:30, took me out, booked me out, bailed me to return, and sent me on my way. And actually, to be fair, they drove me home, so weren't too bad. But it was terrifying, simply because of having a viewpoint that others don't like. What was telling was from questions I asked, and let's say the way they were, or in some cases weren't answered, I get the impression that there was only one complainant for these 4 videos. And one of the videos, I was comparing Olaf Scholz, the current German chancellor, to Adolf Hitler, saying the current chancellor is moaning because there's a certain group in German society that he doesn't approve of, and he regrets them being here. And I was like, well, Adolf was saying exactly the same thing 80 years ago. Does, perhaps, and I said, perhaps Germany needs another final solution. It was obviously in jest. It was obviously satire. No, get arrested for that. And you know that saying things like Starmer, rope, lamppost is incitement to kill the Prime Minister, which it clearly isn't. Oh, no, that was a crime. 2 of my videos contained that, and that's why 2 of the videos I was dragged up on. We think we know really why, don't we? And one of them was for, racism and calling immigrants third world scum. Well, I'm saying the words, it's not implied.
Well, let me correct the record there. Lots of immigrants are third world scum.
Yes. Because the ones who come over and commit crimes, especially against children, I'm sorry, they're scum. There is no other word. Now, we know scum is an acceptable word because our beloved and blessed Deputy Prime Minister uses it to describe people on the right. So scum is a perfectly acceptable word. I didn't see her getting arrested for it. So we know scum is acceptable, and they are from the third world. And people don't know this. I'm sure you do, Nick, but people seem to think that where's the first world and the second world? And of course, it isn't that. It's the old world, the new world, and the third world. The old world is Europe. The new world is America. The third world is everywhere else. So it isn't racist, it's geographic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So let's go into some of those points there. The first one is about referring to a current German politician as Hitler. Now, if there was anyone you were going to compare anyone to Hitler, then German politicians should be at the top of your list because Hitler was German and he was a politician. The second,
correct you there. He was Austrian.
He was Austrian. Yeah. Good correction. Second point is everybody is compared to Hitler every minute of every day. I'm called Hitler 17 times an hour on Twitter. Elon Musk and Trump are referred to as Hitler. By British politicians are referred to them to as Hitler. So now you're not allowed to refer to people as Hitler. That one makes no sense.
No, and you're not literally meaning that they are Hitler. You are comparing them. It's a metaphor. It's not even a metaphor anymore. It's so commonly used. It's just a turn of speech. You're a bloody Hitler. You are. You've had bosses like that. Oh, so and so's coming. Oh, he's bloody Hitler, that fella. And you see, obviously, he's not marching into Poland. He hasn't set up death camps. He's just a bit of a tosser, and that's what you're meaning. It's obviously not a direct comparison. Ironically, the comparison with Olaf Scholz is actually far more accurate. They're both German chancellors, and they both have a problem in their heads with a certain section of German society. I mean, you can't get a more accurate comparison. Oh, you're not allowed to do that. Are you kidding me?
Even if you meant it as a literal comparison, let's say you actually meant it, that German politician is the reincarnation of Hitler. That still breaks no laws.
It breaks no laws. It's an opinion.
It's an opinion. That's all it is. Yeah. So that one makes no sense whatsoever. Now let's get.
And in there, I said, mate, perhaps Germany needs a final solution. I wasn't calling for the mass murder of tens of millions of people. It was an obvious, sarcastic, response. It was satire. It was obviously satire. And yet, oh no, you can't say that. You can't call for the murder of 10 million people. I didn't call for the murder of 10 million. The words never left my mouth. But they're trying to put them in. And I tell you what, Nick, this is really important. Throughout that interview, as they're showing the video and, saying, well, that was the contentious point. I went, blah, 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 blah. Whatever was responding to it. Says, do you see how that could be seen as an incitement? No. Deny it every time. No, don't see that as an incitement. It's an opinion. I'm entitled to hold my opinions. This, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. But all the time, they were trying to get me to admit, because they can't. I don't think they've got enough to charge me. But if I admitted it, they've got that. It's that. Will you please confirm that you are guilty? And I refused to do it. Now, afterwards, my solicitor said, you did very well there. You gave, what does the word she used? I can't think of the word now. When I responded to the various charges, I gave culpable deniability. So not only was I not admitting that what I was doing was an incitement, because it wasn't, but I also had a genuine response. Well, it's clear that my anger here is against the illegal part of illegal immigrants, not immigrants. It is clear here that my anger is against the government and its policies. Saying that's rightfully held. No, I don't believe this. And you can see this cop, and you can see him going, okay, and he's desperately trying to get me to admit that I was guilty of racial incitement, and I clearly wasn't. I mean, anyone who knows me knows I'm not racist at all. I've worked with people of all shades of skin color, of all religions, of all. I was the only Christian in a firm of Jewish accountants at one point. And boy, let me tell you, I was the victim here. It was a funny thing. We were laughing, you know. I learned all the speech, you know, had a cracking time. But, you know, and I've been the only Northern Irishman in a room full of, in a company that was filled with Southern Irishmen. Let me tell you that. That's a hard gig to do, but I was there 25 years. I've worked with black people, Asian people, Chinese people, Eastern Europeans, Baltic people, all over the globe. I've traveled all over the world.
You don't have to explain yourself.
No, but they are trying to infer or imply that I'm racist. And I'm going, no, I'm not.
But that's what we tend to do then as decent people. We then spend our time explaining about how we're not racist when I've got to a stage now where I don't have to explain that I'm not racist because I know I'm not. And
you know you're not.
And even if you were racist, let's say you were, again, that's not against the law to be racist. It's only when you.
I know. It's the old gag, though, isn't it? The two things I can't stand: racism and the French.
But then talking about the police in the interview, the police technique is to always get you to admit your guilt because that's the end of the case then. A good one is traffic police officers. When they pull you up in your car and they come towards you and they say, excuse me, sir, do you know why I've pulled you up? Because what you see then incriminates you. If you say, is it I've got no tax because I was speeding, and the second you've said it, then you've incriminated yourself because they've recorded it and that don't need any evidence. Then you've admitted the offence. That's what they're trying to do to you. Now, let's get to the most controversial part of your interrogation when they shone the lights in your face and stood behind you with baseball bats and tried to intimidate you. I'm joking, that didn't happen. But when they then, when they tried to infer you were calling for the assassination of the Prime Minister.
Oh, yeah, what a joke. On two videos, and I've done it on many, many videos beforehand. And it's just the usual thing. You know, it's a turn of phrase, you know. Oh, yeah, blah, 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 blah. I disagree with his policy. Perhaps we should show these people a lamppost and a rope. You know, Mussolini, lamppost and a rope. It's obviously a turn of phrase. It's obviously, I'm not calling for a crowd to turn up with pitchforks and burning flames and go and drag Starmer out of number 10 and hang him by a lamppost. Of course I'm not. It's a turn of phrase. You know, they'll be the first against the wall when the revolution comes. You're not literally talking about lining people up and shooting them, you know? It's just to say that you're really upset and angry by what these people are doing and you want a change of regime. You're not literally calling for them to be killed. Of course not. What kind of monster do you think I am? It's that, but they took it that way, and I had to defend that in the interview, saying, "Well, it's hypothetical. It's obviously a turn of phrase. It's obviously not meant literally. It's part of the rant that I was on, exposing my own irritation and annoyance and anger at the government and the establishment of this country. I'm not obviously calling for a full revolution and let's get on the streets and whatever." You know, I was rightfully ranting and angry over political decisions of which I disagree.
Absolutely. I did a podcast last night where we referenced you and what's happened, and I purposely looked in the camera and said, we need to string up Keir Starmer. And then I said, come and get me. Come and get me. You know where I live. Come and get me for that. Because it's a turn of phrase. You know, put them up against the wall is a turn of phrase. String him up is a phrase. And these are things we've used in our language to express annoyance.
Isn't it? You don't mean it literally. It's your way of expressing your anger. Yeah.
Now that we've chatted and I've heard a bit more detail, What I think's happened here is someone's gone through your videos, time stamped where they think you've said something they don't like, and then sent all that work to the police. And I think the person who's done this is not a member of the general public. The police would not investigate this if I complained about you and your YouTube channel. I think this is a local councillor. This has come from someone who works for an MP. This has come from someone with a little bit more influence than a member of the public, because they would.
I think it's political.
Yeah. So someone has complained about this and used, probably from the Labour Party, and has used that as the complaint, and therefore the police have gone, right, we need to do something about this and look into it and speak to you. If a member of the public had sent this in, it never would have got looked at. So this is definitely politically motivated.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if a case is going to be dropped or whatever. It's in the hands of the CPS. If they do go forward, I'm definitely going to plead not guilty, and I'm going to demand that the accuser, the person who made the complaint, appears in court as a witness, and do the intimidation the other way around. Get that witness on the stand and have them do it, expose them. And if they are something like a party political type, it will highlight the issues at hand. So I've been in touch with the Free Speech Union. They're looking at the case at the moment. I don't know what their decision will be, whether they can help me or not, but they seem pretty good. My lawyer says, the answers I gave were good. She says they may drop it, or they may go forward. She says 50-50 on this one. They may drop it, they may go forward. But it's in literally the hands of the CPS, the lap of the gods, if you will, because you get someone in the CPS who is fairly liberal-minded, you might get away with it. If you get someone in there who's a real stickler, they'll be like, no, get him into court. Ironically, they could be a hang 'em and flog 'em type. That'd be.
I think my prediction will be they will completely drop it. There's no case to answer. They know there's no case to answer. They were hoping you would incriminate yourself. Then there was going to be a case then. Nobody can look through your video feed and look at any of these videos and come to any other conclusion. And another reason why I think the CPS will drop it, because they got a beating the other day by the Free Speech Union. The former Royal Marine who was arrested, banged up for a little while, got into court.
Exactly the same things I said.
Exactly. And it took the jury 17 minutes to come to conclusion, not guilty, completely not guilty. So I think things have changed a little bit. But I think they will drop it. And I think the person who reported you didn't care if it gets dropped or not. You being arrested and you being kept overnight in cells and you not knowing if you're going to be prosecuted or not, that is the punishment.
Yeah.
That is the punishment. And the fact you came out of basically jail on the Saturday morning and went home and straight away went back online is the only way we fight these people, because it would have been easy to have gone home and went, oh, I need to keep my head down. I can't, we all suffer from stress. Unless you've been in this situation, you've got no idea what it's like. And the stress and the pressure on you must have been horrendous. And it's easy to go, I'm just going to keep my head down for a bit. But you didn't do that because you're not a coward. And you went straight back online and told the world what had just happened. So thank you for that, because we need more brave people in this world, because bravery is contagious. And people saw what you did and how you weren't going to be kowtowed and how you weren't going to have your free speech taken off you. And that will empower other people not to be cowards as well. So for that, I take my hat off you.
Well, I would like, actually, if I've got this, I'd just like to thank everybody who support your support. There was Preston, of course, Craig Houston, Andy the Gabby Cabby, has loads of people. If I've forgotten you, please accept my apologies. There were loads of people who came out, did videos, mentioned me, sort of highlighted this. And I haven't seen one video that said, oh, you really are a silly arse, are you? They were all supportive. And it's been, I mean, yes, I was a silly arse, but that's beside the point. They were all supportive. And that has meant an absolute immense amount of joy to me, to think I'm not alone and that people are there and standing up and standing beside me. So,
And I think you got that support because every single one of us could have been in your situation. Any of us, any of us could be waiting for that knock on the door. When I watched your video, my wife came in the room and sat down and because she likes you, so she sat down and watched it. And the first thing she said to me at the end of it was, "Nick, you need to start being more careful. You don't." And I went, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to be a coward. I'm not going to live on my knees. I'm going to die on my feet." And she's scared stiff now that I'm next to be arrested because she's my wife. She doesn't want me to be arrested. But this is part of the
I
punishment.
was a shock from my wife, let me tell you, on the Friday. She was like, "Oh my God, what?"
Yeah. But this is what they wanted. This is about spreading fear. That's why people like you,
Intimidation.
yeah, that people like you at the weekend, you were a political prisoner at the weekend. Who would have thought you growing up, you ever would have thought you'd have been a political prisoner in your own country? But that's what we have now in the UK. We've got dozens in jail for tweets, and you've been arrested for YouTube, and they're going to come for more people. And it's an absolute disgrace where we are.
Well, I am looking at protection. And from legal advice, one of the protections I was given or told was that if I register a company in Delaware, in America, because that's a very good place to register them statewide because of the laws, and then I contribute to that company, but that company is the publisher of my works. It means that anything I say will be done as a private basis to be sent to a company. It is then the company in America that publishes it. And so if they have any problems, they have to go to the company in America, which is protected by the First Amendment. And so that way it lifts me out of direct assault. So if I do say anything controversial, I say, well, I just made a contribution to the company. The company edited it, the company published it, they put it out, they said it was fine to go. And of course, YouTube itself has its own, as you know, it's got its own that algorithm that checks. It's got its own safety features, for online safety. Sometimes yourself, you'll have seen it. You put something out and you get the little yellow dollar sign. Oh, you're like, oh, for God's sake, what have I done? What have I done? You go back and you have to, oh, it's that word. Okay, to take that word out and so forth. So it does. YouTube has its own checking system, so you tend to rely on the YouTube checking system. If YouTube says it's okay, it's okay.
And YouTube is risk averse as well.
It is very risk averse, yeah.
So if you can pass YouTube, that means there's nothing controversial in that video.
If it passes the YouTubes, you're okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame that you're going to have to do that now to make yourself feel safe. But again, that's the punishment. That's the punishment. And the punishment wasn't only for you, the punishment was for you, but a warning to everybody else who has your views that these views are unacceptable. And we're going to come for you if you have these views.
Yeah. How dare you do wrong thing?
Yeah. So David, how are you feeling now?
I've still got the cloud hanging over me, obviously, until I find out from the CPS. But from where I was on Saturday morning to where I am now, so much better. I'm 90%. You're still always aware. There's always that itch in the back of your head, and of course, like I say, you've still got to be really careful what you say. So I'm coming up with alternative terms for things. But other than that, no, I'm just going to plow on. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep saying. I'm going to keep expressing my opinion. I'm going to keep commenting on news. I have my feed that sits there and I go, new item. Is that newsworthy? Yeah, let's do a video on that. Boom, boom, boom. And just, never let the bastards grind you down.
That's exactly what Stanley Norman Fletcher said.
Yeah. Yeah.
David, thank you very much for coming on. Keep posting, keep posting. Don't let them grind you down. And well done for sticking up for them and solidarity. And all I can say is well.
Out of the people, mate. Out of the people. I'm like, Wolfie. That's it.
Yeah, Wolfie.
Do you remember Citizen Smith? Wolfie. Yeah. Out of the people.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. It's the first time I've ever had Nelson Mandela on.
Yeah, us old lags.
Yeah. And I'll catch up with you again soon.
Thanks. Great to be here. And thanks to everyone for all your support.
Bye. See you later. Bye-bye.